Money on my mind, gotta hustle and grind. Financial literacy always on my mind. I'm stacking knowledge, no time to waste. Gotta invest smart, gotta keep up the pace. I'm reading books, learning all the tricks, studying the market, making calculated picks.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Reckless Raidenair, and we are back at it again for another episode of Future Financial Strategies. We're doing some bag talk. This is gonna be the one. So make sure you hit that like on the way in. This is going to be one of the most important episodes that I do this year, in my opinion. And the reason being for that is this one is literally for the average Joe, the working stiff people in my position. This is a breakdown of how I'm getting out of that position. So let me get that mic adjusted. So what we're going to do is we are going to go deep dive on my strategy, the things that I'm currently using. This isn't anything. It's experimental. All the stuff over here is experimental. Also, this is not financial advice, but it's the tools that I'm using and the intent behind those tools, because I don't look at investing strategy as a be-all, end-all. A lot of people get very religious, very culty about it, that, oh, this is the only way. I'm on the Ramsey plan. It's the only thing. Everything else doesn't work. Well, it's funny. Everything does work and everything simultaneously doesn't work. The Ramsey plan doesn't work for most people. Actually, I would say it's a good start, but in the environment that we're in right now, if you're saving up cash to buy a house, you're probably never buying a house. So it is what it is. Rampant inflation, the home values running away from you. I'm looking at the value of my home. I couldn't buy my home now easily as I did when I decided to buy it back in 2019. Not even a possibility. So now that I too am priced out of the home market from that perspective of if I was just relying on my salary, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. I've got an escape hatch. I am no longer asking for raises. I am no longer expecting someone to take care of me. I am out hunting and taking care of myself, and we're going to continue to do so. We're going to continue to run those numbers up. But while I'm still here in the muck with you, I'm going to tell you exactly what the play is, because there's nothing anyone can do to stop it. It's crazy. I did a post about it over the weekend that I said Bitcoin's loud quitting. This is the loudest quitting ever. It's just like, and why would you work for companies that don't appreciate you, undervalue you, underpay you, try to financially manipulate you into situations where you can't leave, like they're an abusive boyfriend? Why would you do that if you don't have to? Now, this episode is 100% on don't have to and how to build that. Is it an overnight thing? Absolutely not. But it's better to know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and that you're only going to be in that situation for a little bit versus going into work every day knowing that this is your reality for the next 30 years, the next 20 years. That's ridiculous. This play, if done appropriately, like for me, now that I'm up and running, I've got 25 more months left as of the month of July. That is also, I'm not 100% sure because we haven't really gotten into the Bitcoin bull run, so we could be trimming some time off of this. And I believe you me, not going to be there a second longer than I have to. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're not in the wolf pack. Probably a good time to get in. Early adopters always get the most benefit and the most value. Just saying. For my people in the wolf pack, if you haven't shared a video yet into your algorithm, this is going to be the one. So what are we talking about? What we're talking about is, in short, we're talking about what those of you who are in the wolf pack that watch my videos, that follow some of the things that I'm doing, are interested in the financial angle that I am, know about MicroStrategy and how they're just loaning money, acquiring debt, and buying Bitcoin. And it looks really awesome. Like, yeah, I wish I had billions of dollars to throw into Bitcoin. I don't. But the reality is we can set up a similar Bitcoin flywheel as individuals. You don't have to be incorporated. Now, if you are, definitely have some things at your disposal that are also usable tools that are probably a little bit more efficient than what we're going to be talking about here today. But this is how I'm setting up my Bitcoin flywheel. So we're going to go ahead and jump right on into it. First level, just basic. We'll just keep it super basic. You get paid your income, your W-2 income, your paycheck, your salary, that small stipend that they give you to show up at that job that you hate every day, that they don't appreciate you, that they talk to you like you're crazy and stupid. I mean, you kind of already keep showing up there, right? And, you know, you're just the cheap labor. And gosh, we get so much stuff done with this idiot over here doing what he's doing, just playing with those widgets, being a peasant, because that's what they look at us as. Regardless of how much they want to tell you it's a family, they think you're a peasant. So this is where our foundation level is. So you get paid, money in, money out, right? Normally, most people's trajectory for their paycheck is they get paid, they pay their bills, go spend a little bit more than what they just paid on their bills so that they're still in debt, and then rinse and repeat the cycle, pacify yourself so that you don't see yourself slowly digging this hole that then becomes a tomb, that then becomes a bunker. You're in a debt bunker now. And you seemingly have no way out. So now you've got to just keep chasing these jobs. They got you locked in. You got your mortgage. You got your family. And now you have to go to that job where they talk to you like you're stupid, underpay you, and underappreciate you. And that's what they want. That's the reason they're always excited when you accrue some more debt, because you got to pay for that debt somehow, which means that you're going to be going to one of those slave encampment facilities that we call a job. And, you know, not knocking jobs. Like sometimes people find a slave encampment facility that they really like. I have yet to do that. You know, my situation's a little bit different, but like I still want out. Like I still have to go there. I don't like the have to. The have to part is the part that doesn't set well for me, is like, you gotta do this to keep the air conditioning on. And I love the air conditioning during the summer. It feels amazing. And I don't want to lose it, so I have to keep going there for now. That's so based off your income, you just take a little bit of that and buy Bitcoin. That's what you've got. So it's like you gotta make some adjustments. Sometimes they tell you to stop drinking coffee or going to Starbucks, whatever. Spend money on what you want. Just understand that you're going to be a debt slave for forever, and it won't change unless you make some adjustments or start buying something that actually goes up in value so that things get cheaper every year. Now, that's one tier. And I do have a little stipend out of my check right now that I scale up as I'm clearing this debt down, that goes over and buys a little bit of Bitcoin out of the check. This is the slowest way that you can accomplish solidifying your financial future. But I would at least, if I was a betting man, and I'm not, I would say whatever the gurus are telling you to put in your 401k, I would be matching that with buying some Bitcoin and self-custodying it. And I say this specifically because as it sits right now, if you're buying the Bitcoin ETFs, you're in a dangerous spot. Why is that? It's because that settles in dollars. Once you understand Bitcoin, you know you're trying to get away from dollars. You're tired of stuff getting more expensive every year. Not only that, you're also paying someone for the privilege of them giving you back dollars while they get to hold Bitcoin. What a great deal for the institutions that hold Bitcoin, huh? You buy your little ETF, you think you're doing something, and when you need to cash out, you're cashing out into dollars. If you decide that, you know, they come out with some crazy tax plan where they're going to tax unrealized gains, and now you can't leave the country because you're stuck in dollars. Now you can't take your Bitcoin with you. You can't just up and leave with your Bitcoin ETF. It's non-transferable. It's stuck in this fiat dollar system. So I do tell people regularly, you need to have actual Bitcoin that you self-custody, and something that's not an exchange. Just saying, like if you're going to be put in a situation where the government can turn off your money, guess what? If you're on a centralized exchange, if you're on Coinbase, if you're on Gemini, if you're on any of those platforms, and they tell them lock that account, guess what? Your Bitcoin's gone. Just saying. Something to think on. So this is the slowest way. You just get money, a little bit of the money you get, you buy Bitcoin. The issue with this is for people like myself who are in jobs they don't want to show up at or don't want to have to show up at. Let's keep it accurate. You're not in a position where you can leave, which is a little bit problematic because like now you're going, okay, well, I've got to keep buying Bitcoin, not spending the Bitcoin, and keep going to this job that I don't want for a long period of time because it's not going to be as long as somebody who's just investing in a 401k because they tell you when you can leave. If you're holding your own Bitcoin, well, once you get to whatever your magic number is, you can leave. The problem being is all you have is Bitcoin. You will have to sell off that Bitcoin to exist because you can't quit your job. I mean, I guess you could leverage it and hope that it goes up enough during those periods, which as it sits right now, they're giving us 1 year shots. I wouldn't gamble on that. With no income coming in and no way to pay back that loan, you're probably going to end up burning your pile of Bitcoin, to be honest. So this is the least efficient way, but it's a good catalyst. I'm not going to say quit your job. I'm going to say replace your income, then quit your job. That's the smart way to do that because we don't want to give them any type of satisfaction that we're struggling or that we needed them. When you leave with your head held high and your chest puffed out. Leave in a position to where you're making more than the dude who was dangling that paycheck in your face, where he can't afford you. Make yourself unaffordable and therefore uncontrollable. So we've got our income. That's a catalyst, though. So what's the next thing that we have in our flywheel that we're using, the next tool that I use? Our passive income. That's our income portfolio, the 2,000 shares of Misty. Now, for this breakdown, I'm going to use Misty as the example. So I didn't just put it in the heading for clickbait. Just saying. I did. It's the majority of my primary income portfolio. I do have 2,000 shares of Misty that I hold that I have dollar cost averaged, and I did buy the peak. My average cost is $25.69 at present. 2,000 was the metric. We will not be purchasing any more Misty unless we drop down below 20. That's my load the boat amount for me because of my average to really chunk that average down. But we will be holding those 2,000 shares and collecting that income that's coming in and using that, obviously, to pay down debt and buy Bitcoin. Now, the passive income is interesting because I try to set things up as wheels. So it's like I have my W-2 income. The W-2 income goes directly into passive income. And then the passive income spits off little chunks based on whatever the focus was. Now, over the past few months, we had a real focus on grinding out that 2,000 mark for my Misty shares. So we didn't do anything but minimum maintenance on all of the debt, which meant that we were kind of riding the debt a little bit. But now, starting in August, because we've already had this month's Misty payment, which paid down our margin to $18.20. So when we get paid this Friday, tomorrow, we will have our margin paid off and we'll be buying into our next position within the portfolio, which we'll be doing I'll do a special PSA for that. I'm going to do an episode around that and the logic. And while we're doing that, we'll be waiting for those Misty dividends to start kicking in. Now that we're shifting to the focus being on eliminating the debt, obviously this part of the flywheel has a focus right now that we're going to be focused on, but we're adding back in a stipend of 10% off the top that's going to go directly into buying Bitcoin. So whatever we make over the month as we get those payouts. So, I'm hoping that we're at minimum getting $1, which was kind of what I averaged the 2,000 share position on. That would be at minimum what I'm projecting at minimum would be $4,000, which means we'll be buying $400 of Bitcoin in the month of August, regardless of price. We're just going to send it over, make the purchase, get it in there, and call it a day. That's the way we're doing it. So that's going to be pretty cool. We're also going to be doing a little stipend of 10% into the long-term investment holdings pool. So we'll be putting some cash in there, getting it settled around. I got a couple of positions I need to buy back. So hopefully we'll be getting about $400 in there. And then we also have reinvestment within the portfolio, which will be phase 2 of the portfolio, which we'll be talking about what that position is. Got a little bit of money going back in there to feed the machine, build up the income. Got to always be building up the income a little bit, in my opinion. But as that debt gets paid off, that's going to be a lot of money a month after the $28,000 in debt is paid off that I'm going to have access to. That's going to be going predominantly at that point towards buying Bitcoin. And yeah, that's kind of what it's going to be. I'm going to get all of my minimum shares back to snuff for the positions that I want to have for the next 5 years in that portfolio. And then the majority of it is going to go towards Bitcoin. Well, a good chunk of it's going towards Bitcoin. And as we grow that pool, because the goal here is to grow the passive income pool as large as possible. So the bigger it gets, the bigger the chunk that goes to Bitcoin anyway. So like we want to get that up to a certain point where we're just consistently buying Bitcoin as much as we can. The next tool that we have available that we haven't really been using a lot, but we are going to, is our funding sources. That's margin, short-term loans, credit, everything. HELOCs, cash out refis, whatever you got. All of those tools are on the table for me. And especially when it comes to large sums of money, because most of the time, and it's large sums for me. For some of you, it might not be large sums because everybody has more money than me. So that's fine. I'm catching up, guys. I'm catching up. You just have to bear with. But anytime I'm pulling 10,000 or more out of a source, we are taking a chunk of that and buying Bitcoin. As far as what I do regularly, what we were doing prior to me having to have the surgery and emergency bootstrapping my income portfolio, was every 5 to 10 months, we were pulling out $10,000 to go towards investments from our credit cards. We were doing cash advance from the credit cards because it's 0%, which isn't really 0%. They charge you like 3.5% to 4%, depending on what the interest rates are. And that's also worth it for me because I'm making more than that. So those loans are paid back super fast, in my opinion. Like they give you like 19 months or whatever. We're cycling them every 5 to 10. And the reason we're doing that is we're able to get more in. And what we're going to start doing moving forward is all of this will land in the income portfolio. Again, we want that income portfolio spilling over with money. And then we take chunks of that to buy Bitcoin. So that way, every month we're buying more Bitcoin because that pool is just growing a little bit every month. So we've got that. And then what do we have? So I have margin on there too, because in my Schwab account, I can just pull money out. Robinhood, I have margin as well. Haven't figured out how exactly they work with like moving that money around, but it's in there. We've been using it to build the portfolio. I'm not really concerned about using the Robinhood when I have so much capital available in my Charles Schwab account, but margin can get called, which means that like if there's a downturn in the market or something goes wrong, that pool of debt that you have sitting that's backed directly to your stocks, the brokerage will just take your stock. So I don't like leaning into that as much as any of my other sources, but it is a good solid tool, and I have used it to build up to get my 2,000 shares of Misty to front run a little bit tastefully. But like I have access to a lot of money that I'm not touching necessarily And so with that, it's like, well, it's there if I need it. And hopefully you don't need it. Like I like to keep that ecosystem as clean and debt free as possible. But sometimes it's nice. It's good to use it to front run. Like on declaration day, I will be tapping margin to just get a head start on moving my money around as I need to, which is also pretty nice. You could also do personal loans from family. There, you could work that angle. Questionable, like people with money. If you're not good with money or not good paying back your debts, I would not advise you to ask your family for money because they're just going to end up hating you because you're probably going to do whatever you've done historically to them. So be good with money, have a track record of being good with money, and have some results to show someone before you ask a person for money. And then lastly, the last thing that you have is the Bitcoin itself. I am not an advocate of selling Bitcoin. I love leveraging Bitcoin. I think you're crazy if you're selling Bitcoin. But borrowing against your Bitcoin, you got platforms like Strike, pretty cool. You can take out loans. It requires you to have a good amount of Bitcoin over there. So we're working on building up that pile of Bitcoin. But leveraging the Bitcoin itself, like leveraging to buy more Bitcoin, pretty awesome deal, or leveraging to build up that income portfolio to buy more Bitcoin. Because by the time I get to the Bitcoin to the end of the road on this, I will have an income stream that is more than capable of paying a large Bitcoin loan that's low interest. So at that point, you know, you've got Bitcoin appreciating, which is really awesome. You can take out a massive loan, take a chunk of that, buy some Bitcoin, put the rest of it in the income portfolio that's already kicking off money. Because by the time this is not ready to use, at least not yet. I'm waiting for there to be some more competition because right now we just have Strike, and the minimum that you have to have in the state that I'm in is 1.33 Bitcoin, which, as you all know, is a lot. We're still buying Bitcoin. I'm just putting it over there to build up in the pool because I refuse to take anything out of cold storage to borrow against. So, you know, we're on the road to 1.33 Bitcoin or whatever it is by the time we get, hopefully, as that minimum comes down, our Bitcoin stack, our Satoshi stack is stacking up, and like we meet at some point, and then I can add that as an additional lever that I have to pull. But yeah, like I see all tools are on the table. For me personally, I'm going to be income focused. We are always de-dollarizing. So any dollars that don't have a place to go do something will be going into Bitcoin, which is why I want the biggest income pool possible. Obviously, if you're trying to leave your job, you have to replace that income. There's a lot more things that have to be accounted for in doing that, and I'm going to do a breakdown episode on that as well. But this was something that I thought was very important so that people could see that, like, yeah, while Michael Saylor's doing it and it's awesome, those concepts, we have to start looking for those in our lives as well. We have to start doing the same thing because if you haven't noticed, they're buying a lot of Bitcoin. And if you didn't know, there's only a certain amount of Bitcoin, which, as much as we're on the same team, this is a zero-sum game, which means that we all need to accelerate how much Bitcoin we have and how we are getting Bitcoin and start getting into that regularity so that you have something. Because once we get to the point to where the OTC desk, they can't buy over the counter, they got to buy on the market. And then once those Bitcoin are gone, you're going to have you're going to have trouble even getting Bitcoin. And I understand, as early as we are, and we are very early, very few people know about this. Once you understand and once you've made the decision that you're going to buy some, this is the next progressive step. Like, you need to go ahead and stop here, go through this, and start thinking about what you have available, what's available at the time. Because depending on when you catch this piece of content specifically, the board might be different. Different stuff might be available. Different things might be not available. But for those of you who have fully ingested the orange pill and now it's running through your veins like it is mine, getting to a point to where you're understanding the tools available and the importance of what you're doing for your future. These are things that we have to think about. What tools do we have that can mimic those tools that the wealthy, the 1% are using regularly? Like, why is it that people will cash advance to go buy a car, to go buy rims, to go buy some new doodad that nobody's going to care about that's going to lose money in a few years, but you're not using that to buy stocks or buy investments? Why aren't we doing that? Why is it that the middle class and the poor's relationship to debt is so traumatic? Because we use debt to buy things that nobody cares about to look like we're the 1%. Versus using the debt to actually make ourselves into the 1%, to make ourselves an owner class, to transition faster so that you don't have to work 70 years, so that you don't have to work till you're 80, so that you don't have to work so that you can go on vacation once a year and then post pictures about your vacation the whole year like you're doing something. Like we don't know that those are the same pictures. What you decide to do today and moving forward, there's million pieces of information out here. I do not want you to feel motivated after listening to this. I want you to do something after listening to this. And not only that, I want you to report back down in the comments what you did after listening to this. Let's have the conversation. I want to cheer you guys on. I do want us all to win, but understand the longer it takes for you to get your ticket to Valhalla, your ticket to the moon, your ticket on the Bitcoin battle cruiser to financial security in the future, the less chance you're going to be able to get on, because seats are filling up fast if you didn't know. And it's getting more expensive if you didn't know. And I'm going to be buying. I'm going to keep buying. That's just what we're doing. We're just getting Bitcoin and chilling. But yeah, tap in. This is the strategy that I'm using. So once again, one final recap. It's W2 income and a passive income. We're looking at our funding sources and debt tools to get large amounts of money. We'll take a small portion of that into Bitcoin, but the rest of it will go into the passive income. As that passive income ratchets up and we are getting more and more a month, we're able to replace our job income. And once we're able to do that, we don't have to go there anymore. Also, we are continuing to invest off of that income. That's one of the things that I don't hear people who talk about retiring early, especially even the ones that are using this, because they still have that boomer mindset of I've got to eat my portfolio, or whatever I get's what I get. I'm not doing anything else. Well, we're not doing that anymore. Over here in the Wolfpack, we are, especially if you're using high yield, just get your income up high enough so that you can continue to reinvest. Remember, we're trying to join the NBA, folks. Never broke again. We don't want to have to worry about the market. We want to have multiple different tools at our disposal that can cover us in the event of a slight downturn. We don't want to have to go get a job because the market went down for a quarter. We want to be able to be like, hey, we were so far over our income that we just are living our normal lives. Also, don't spend it. If you're spending every dime that comes in, this strategy will not work for you. You've got to get your finances under control. And I'm going to leave it at that. If you haven't hit the like button, definitely do it. Don't forget to check in with me down in the comments. You guys have homework now. I'm giving homework on this channel for the Wolfpack members. For those of you who are just watching for a little bit of motivation, go ahead, have fun staying poor. Those of you who are taking action, hit me up down in the comments. Let me know what action you are taking. We're going to be doing a lot more videos that will tie back into this concept of where we're at on the flywheel. That's going to kind of be a reoccurring theme around here. So this episode is important. I definitely suggest, earmarking it, maybe coming back and visiting it. Also, if you're not subscribed yet, you've been here more than twice, go ahead and formally join the Wolfpack. We're not trying to get rich by ourselves. You do that by hitting that subscribe button down there at the bottom with a follow-up assignment of hitting the bell notification down there and turning all on, because I don't flood your feed. I only give information when it's relevant and when you should be getting it, and it's not all the time every day. So do that. For those of you in the wolf pack, this is the one to share. I want to see this floating around the algorithm. Let's go, people. Till next week, it's your boy Reckless Ray Dinero, and I'm out. Peace.
Money on my mind, yeah. Focus, got no time for games, nah. I don't play it, I'm all about that financial literacy. Investing in my future, building generational wealth. Dollar bills, they be calling my name, but I ain't chasing fame, I'm chasing change. Learn the game, now I'm playing it smart. Putting my money to work, it's an art. I'm stacking paper, building my own empire. No more living check to check, I'm getting higher. Investing in stocks, real estate, and more. Gotta secure the bag, that's what I came for.